Hello, it's Sonia here with the Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Wednesday, and that means it's the stitch of the week. So for today's stitch, I will be using my J hook here, and I believe that's a 6mm hook. This is a really old boy hook. It doesn't have the millimeters on it. It belonged to my great-grandmother, so I'm really happy to own this hook. I got a whole set that my mom gave me that belonged to her, so that's really, really special. For today's stitch, I'm going to be using some worsted weight yarn, and we are going to do a Tunisian stitch. And I found this stitch, I just thought it was really fun and easy. You'll be surprised at how easy it is, and I don't know what the name of it is. Easy Tunisian stitch. It kind of looks like little blocks or squares when it's worked up, so maybe I'll just call it like a Tunisian square stitch, I don't know. But if you don't own a Tunisian hook, you can see this is not a Tunisian hook. You can just use a straight crochet hook if you wanted to work up a little swatch just to see how you like Tunisian before you go out and invest in a whole Tunisian set. I've actually worked lots of projects without Tunisian hooks. You could even pack in, I've packed in like 40 stitches on just a regular hook, and I like to stick a little rubber band on the end so they don't slide off. Alright, so to do this stitch pattern, what you'll need to do is chain a multiple of 4, and then you'll add 2. So why don't we do 14. Okay, so I have got my 14 chains here, and I'm just using some regular worsted weight yarn. I'm not sure what kind of yarn this is. Maybe Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. It kind of feels like that, but it also kind of feels like a Caron Simply Soft too, so I'm not quite sure. But anyway, you can use a variety of yarns and hook sizes for this. So what we're going to do is work our setup row. So that is just going to be a regular, a lot of Tunisian patterns just have a very basic row 1. It's their foundation row for a lot of the stitches, and this one is no different. So in my second chain for my hook, I like to work in the back bump. Just think it looks a little neater and tidier. We're going to pull up a loop, and I'm just going to continue to pull up loops like you normally do, working in my back bump. And I will have a total of 14 loops on my hook here. So when you're, for a lot of Tunisian projects, however many chains you made is however many that will be on your hook. Okay, so we have got our 14 stitches on here. So now we need to work these guys off. So with Tunisian, it's always 2 parts. So this is our forward pass, and now we need to do the return pass, which is working these guys off. And if you're not familiar with Tunisian, I do have a whole Tunisian playlist that I can link for you that goes over the very, very basic stitches and a whole bunch of other stitches and some projects. And so you can just check that out and just explore Tunisian. Tunisian's really fun. Alright, so let's yarn over. We're going to work that return pass, pull through the first loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 for the remaining row here. Okay, so there is our row 1, just a basic Tunisian row. So now we're going to get ready to do some fun stuff here. So row 2, what you're going to do is you're going to do a yarn over. And then we are going to work in this bar, our first bar right here. And we're going to pull up a loop, just like regular Tunisian. And we're going to do that into the next 3. So we have our 3 loops, and I just realized I said the wrong chain number. I will have that corrected on there. So what you need to do is you need to chain a multiple of 3 plus 2, not 4 plus 2. So I apologize for that. But I chained 14, and 3 times 4 is 12, and adding 2, 14. So it's all fine. So anyway, so we have our 3 loops plus our yarn over on here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that yarn over, and you'll need to just pull it through like that. And now you've created your first little square. So easy as that. And I do suggest with this stitch kind of working with a slightly looser hand. Maybe if you've never done it before, use a larger hook. I think that would be easier. That's why I have the J hook here, because it's going to just create a little bit of like looser stitches. And I'm just trying to be as relaxed as I can. All right, we're going to yarn over again, and we're going to repeat that. And we're just going to pull up a loop in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to take our yarn over and just pull through all 3 of those stitches, just like that. So there's our next little square, and yarn over again. So you're just going to repeat that across. So yarning over, pulling up 3 stitches, and then you take your yarn over and pull through all 2, or all 3, I'm sorry. Yarn over, and we're going to pull through our last grouping here of 3, and then we'll just have our final stitch that we need to work. Alright, so taking that yarn over, pulling through, and now we're going to, I always like to work a knit stitch in my last stitch. It just creates a neater and tidier edge there. And so our second row of our forward pass is complete, and we're just going to work these stitches off. So yarn over, pull through the 1 stitch, and then yarn over and pull through 2 for the rest of our row here. And row 2 is complete. So let's work row 3. So we're just going to repeat row 2. You're going to yarn over and insert your hook into that first bar there, pull up a loop, and pull up a loop in the next 3. And you take your yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And repeat, yarn over. So pretty easy. And I'm just repeating that all the way across, making my little squares here. And then I'll work my knit stitch in my last stitch to complete row 3. So yarn over, pull through the 1, yarn over, pull through the 2 to complete row 3. Because each row, as I said before, it's in 2 parts. So you have your forward pass, your return pass, or part 1, part 2. So one part of the row you're putting the stitches on, and the second part of the row you're working the stitches off. Okay, so you can see our little set of squares. So what you're going to do is just repeat row 2 for however long you want your swatch. And so I'm going to go off camera and just work a few more rows so you can see this stitch in a larger swatch, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go with our little tiny squares there. I've worked 7 rows, so I'll show you how you can work these off, and it's going to be easy. It's just going to be a regular bind off row. But I just really like this stitch as it's definitely just a basic Tunisian simple stitch with just a little bit of a twist, and just creates a very interesting fun fabric, but it's not, you know, really complicated to do. Alright, so let's bind this off. So you're just going to work in that next bar, pull up a loop, and just bind that guy off. And we're just going to do that all the way across, just the traditional Tunisian bind off. So nothing complicated. Okay, there's my last stitch. I'm going to pop in working Tunisian knit, binding that guy off. So now we've bound that guy off. So definitely a curler, like a lot of Tunisian stitches, they like to do that. So if you were, let's say, wanted to make like a scarf with this stitch pattern, I suggest working a couple of rows in purl stitch, because purl stitches are your friend with the curling. It helps with the curling. And then you could even do some purl stitches on the edges there. And then in the center part of your scarf, you have your tiny little squares. I guess we'll call it the tiny squares, Tunisian tiny square stitch. I don't know. But I think it's a really fun stitch, and I hope you enjoyed this stitch of the week. And if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.